Hey, today I'm going to start actually constructing the candy cane dress. I know I've been designing it and talking about it for ages, so today I'm actually going to start sewing it. So yesterday I talked to you about corsets and corseted dresses and how I want to try and find a new way of constructing a corseted dress that stops that line at the bottom of the corset showing through the dress. So I've been thinking about it a lot since yesterday, and I think I've come up with a method that I want to try and see if it works. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each piece, I'm going to cut one full length piece in, I've actually got a thick satin rather than that lining fabric I bought the other day. So, and on that full length satin piece, I'm going to interface it down to about an inch above where the go days are going to start. I'm then going to cut a second piece of fabric, which I will also interface, but that's going to stop. I'm only going to cut it to this length again, about an inch above where the go days start. So my lining of my dress will be on the inside, it will be the full length of the satin with the satin on the inside. Then I'm going to make up separately the satin layer that stops just above the go days. And then, so once I've got my two pieces, so one full length and one sort of just before the flare starts, I'm going to stitch them with the wrong sides together. So my right sides of the satin on the outside, the full length piece will be the inside of the dress, will be the lining. The piece that's cut shorter will be on the inside of, on the outside of the dress. It will have the sequins over it. And then I'm going to stitch through all the layers and create boning channels. But I'm only going to bone it down to where I would bone it if it was just the normal corset length. So I'm hoping that this will then stop that line showing, and it's going to give us that nice smooth finish all the way down to where the flare starts. But by stopping that second layer just above where the flare starts, I'm not going to end up with too much fabric in the whole bottom parts. Okay, so these are my finished pattern pieces. I've just used my original corset pattern just to mark on them where that stopped, so I know where to stop the boning. I've marked my new height where the go days are going to start as well, and where my zip comes down to. So the only thing I need to do as I cut it out is add the seam allowance onto that seam of the strap that continues up my side front seam. And then I've just marked that I'm going to add 3 inches length to all of them, just because it was just a touch short on that dress one when I had it on. And that's going to give me more to sort of play with as I hem it. So now I've got that, what I'm going to do is cut one set full length satin, which is interfaced down to about there, and then one set that is just down to here. I'm not going to cut the bottom parts again, and that will also be interfaced. I'm using this, it's a fairly soft iron-on interfacing. It's a woven one, which I find is better for corset making. I don't like the non-woven ones. And the iron-on part of it's really fine. It hasn't got the dots. You know, some interfacings have, I've got a sequin stuck to me, no surprise. Some interfacings have the sort of dots on the iron-on side, but I find they can show through, especially on light fabric. So I always buy this one. I'm sorry, I've got no idea what brand it is. I get it from Addicted to Fabric here in Canberra. Next time I go in there to get some, I will find out what it's called and let you know, so you can look for it and see if anyone near you's got it. This is the only iron-on interfacing I use now because it's so good. I'm hoping I've got enough because Addicted to Fabric isn't open tomorrow, so let's see if there's enough to do this. I'll figure that out as I go. I've got quite a lot of offcuts of it as well. The fabric I'm using is this white satin, which I had here, rather than the lining fabric I bought from Spotlight the other day. And I'm going to use this for both layers. This one's discontinued. I used to buy it from Silk Trader in Melbourne, but it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore, unfortunately, which is a shame because it's my favourite satin. A Duchess satin would work just as well, one that's not too heavy or too thick. Oh, so I don't have enough interfacing, not even close. I thought I had another piece of it. I didn't even think about measuring the interfacing before now. I think probably because I didn't know exactly how I was going to make it, so I didn't even think about that. So I've just said that that's the only interfacing I ever use, but Addicted to Fabric isn't open until Tuesday, and I really want to get on with this dress. So I'm actually going to pop to Lincraft and see if they've got anything that I could use as a substitute for now. It probably won't be as good, but I'll find something else to use. And while I'm there, I'm also going to have a look and see what options they've got for maybe stretchy hooks and eyes to put down the back of the lining to do it up, and then I can just put the invisible zip in the outside layer. So I'm going to pop there quickly because it closes, it's like 3:15 now and they close at 4. So I'm going to leg it down there now and see what I can find. Okay, I'm back from Lincraft, and they actually had this really nice woven iron-on interfacing. It was $10 a metre. And I've just done a little test of it on the satin, and it's ironed on really beautifully. So I think this is going to work just as well as the one I normally get from Addicted to Fabric. It's a little bit thicker. This one's just that tiny bit thinner. But I think it's going to be absolutely fine. It's quite a bit cheaper too. I think I pay about $16 or $17 a metre for this one at Addicted to Fabric. So if this one works, it could be a good sort of slightly cheaper alternative. So happy with that. I also bought some hook and eye tape which I might use in the back of the corset, but I haven't, that's not the wrong way. Haven't quite decided if that's what I want to use yet. So I'm thinking I could sew some elastic to the side of it and just have a slightly elasticated panel at the back. But again, it's still quite lumpy. So this was kind of me thinking it might be a good alternative to put in the eyelets or grommets in the back, but it's still a little bit chunky. But then you haven't got the lace and the ribbons, so it's either going to be this or I'll just use the regular dress zip. But yeah, this might be better actually. Might be a bit more secure. Anyway, I'll get it all together and boned, and then I can decide what I'm going to put in the back. So. Okay, so now I've got everything I need. I'm going to cut out my full length and my half length pieces to construct the inside of my dress from. Right, so I've interfaced the satin for the sort of shorter layer, which will be the inside of the lining. So I'm making sure I've got my strap up the right way, so it's going to be on the left. I kind of work differently to some people because I interface my fabric and then cut it all out once it's interfaced rather than cutting two pieces and ironing them together. I just find it's a bit quicker. So now I've got my pattern pieces pinned on. So I'm going to stop 1 inch above where the godet starts. So instead of pinning and then cutting, I pin and then draw around the edge with this disappearing pen, just because I find it's way more accurate. And when you're making corsets and when you're making dresses with loads of layers, if you're not accurate, it's not going to sit together properly. So accuracy is kind of key at this point, I think. I find cutting single layers rather than cutting a double layer a lot more accurate as well. When you've got a double layer, one side can often move and slide. So again, even though it is more time consuming, I do find it a lot more accurate. Okay, so there is piece 1 cut out. So it's going to stop just before the flare, but once it's all together I'm only going to bone to about there. So I'm going to keep going and use exactly that same technique to cut out all the other pieces and then the full length outside pieces, because I'm and make sure, because it's asymmetrical, that my strap is on the right side, the correct side, on all the pieces that I'm cutting with the strap on. Alright, so it's probably going to take me the rest of the evening to get all of that cut out. Cool. I was going to do this one as 2 days, but I think there's quite a lot of information in this one already today, so I'm going to split it into doing one every day, so you can just sort of take in a little bit at a time. I hope that's okay. Yeah, then I'll be back tomorrow to show you how I put this together and bone it, and then I'll decide what kind of fastening I'm going to do in the centre back of this layer as well, and hopefully it'll work. The other thing I still haven't figured out is, because the 2 layers don't join all the way around, so normally when you join your outside and lining, you join all the way around the top and then turn them in on themselves, but because we don't want it to join all the way around, we want it to stop before it gets to the back, I've got to figure out how I finish the top nicely at the centre back where you've got the 2 layers separately. I'll have a look at the corset dress I did, see if I can remember how I did it for that. That was a while ago. I haven't made a dress like this in a while, so I've made just corsets or dresses where the corset is the top of the dress rather than having it hidden inside like this. So I'm going to do some cutting, I'm going to do some more thinking, and I will be back tomorrow to show you how I start joining all this. Thanks for watching. Before I go, I have a Facebook group. It's only little at the minute and there's not many people there, but I'd love it to become somewhere that you guys can go and share your photos of your work or ask for advice if you need advice. So I've had quite a few people send me pictures of their work on Instagram recently and tag me and stuff, which I love, 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 love seeing what you create. So feel free to come and join my Facebook group. There's a link in the description, and share your work there, ask questions, and we can all sort of learn and grow together. And we can, I want to create a community of creative people who inspire each other and help each other. So my group is for anyone. It's for anyone who loves sewing, who loves fashion, who loves styling, who loves expressing themselves. I've linked it with not just Rockstars and Royalty, but also with Just Be, which was my revolution I was talking about the other day, which is all about encouraging everyone to have the confidence to be themselves, to not feel like we have to conform to beauty standards or ideals or just what gender norms are for clothing as well. Just wear what you love. So it's a safe space to come along and talk fashion, clothes, style, sewing, and anything else you'd like to. So hopefully to see you there. Yeah, links in the description. I've got to start posting them more. I've been so busy. I haven't posted in there a lot recently, but I will get back to doing it. And yeah, keep tagging me on Instagram. I love seeing your work. So thanks for doing that. And I'll see you tomorrow.